Hello, and welcome back to the Agent Pro Podcast. We're your go to resource for real estate agents looking to take their career and life to the next level with actionable ideas and expert insights. I'm Jeff Thibodeau, and I'm here with my co host, Cameron Gray. Today, we are shooting episode 4 of a 15-part series on real estate content creation, where we're sharing a complete playbook for using social media platforms to grow your business, talking everything from content creation to curation and engagement strategies and beyond. We're covering everything you need to know to build a successful online presence, connect with your target audience, and get some inbound business going. So grab your notepad. Let's take some notes. Bookmark this episode because it is foundational to having a successful strategy. Today, we're talking about making a content map, which sounds a little, me and Cameron were just talking before we got on. What exactly is that? What is the definition here? So I'm going to lay it out because I use that word a lot and I forget sometimes that might be insider speak. But really, when we talk about a content map, what we're talking about is, you're at the starting line of becoming an online content creator and you think about, what am I supposed to talk about? And I think a lot of people, at least in the early days of social media, I don't know if you remember the days, Cameron, when it was like, why do I care what someone's having for breakfast? Everyone was just posting on Facebook and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's trying to figure out you're not just sharing clips about whatever makes you interested, but it's coming up with the dedicated strategy of the things you think your audience is going to be interested in. So you're actually creating things of value. But it's the process we're going to talk about today of coming up with what are your handful of topics that you're going to consistently create content on. So thanks for joining me today, Cameron. Any opening thoughts before we get into the Q&A?
I think it's going to be an interesting topic. It's one of my favorite ones to talk about. I think it's where most people kind of not screw up, but they kind of don't put enough attention on it before they start. They start creating content. And like, why isn't any of this doing what I want it to do? It's because they don't plan. So this will help.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's start from step one. Like you have to do this a lot. Like I do it for myself and I sometimes present, but you're there. A new client calls you, Cameron, I want to improve my social media presence. And they come in for their first strategy meeting. Like, what's this conversation look like to try to figure out, hey, what is my new client's content map going to look like? Like pretend the audience or the listener is your new client. How do you walk someone through figuring this out or even just explaining it to them?
Yeah, for sure. So like the way that I normally do it is it's a little bit of an interview. Like a lot of people don't like opening up about themselves because they think that they're not very interesting, but like the things that you find not interesting is what other people are going to find interesting. So when I'm interviewing somebody right from the start, they're like, why are you asking me these types of questions? But it's like, I need to know all about you. I need to know as much as like I need to know you the way that you know you. So like we basically do a deep dive and ask everything about you, your personal life, what you do, what you enjoy doing, um, what your focuses are within business, what's your niche, what's your hyper niche within that. And we basically just ask all of those questions so we can build up an avatar on who you are as a creator, what you enjoy. And then we look at, okay, what's your favorite type of business to generate? And then we look at how can we target these people and where do you resonate the most with these people? What type of value do you add most to these people? Do you enjoy working with people? And then we kind of work backwards and then we build up strategy plans. So the biggest thing is like a lot of people think that they have to be talking to the camera, but you don't have to be doing real estate content if you're not super confident in real estate. Maybe you are a fitness trainer on the side and you do some volunteering at the gym. That's content. That is what your content could be about. So it's all over the place. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. So I could talk all day about this.
I saw an interesting graphic, and I love my charts and graphs, and so I saw a Venn diagram, which is when they overlay those two circles, right? And you have the overlap in the middle, and it said basically the stuff you're interested in about, the stuff your potential customers is interested about, and where those two circles overlap, that's the stuff you're going to want to zone in on and talk about. But you actually spread it a little further to think, okay, and there's also parts of just you, the human, right? That might have nothing to do with the industry, or this is the beautiful thing about what the clients we serve is a lot in the real estate industry, is that it's a people to people business. So it doesn't all have to be real estate content. It can just be you as a human, your personal interests, your community, if you're into cooking or fitness or riding horses or hiking or whatever, there's going to be an overlap of other humans that like that stuff too. And they probably own houses and need to move at some point because the service is kind of over here and it just applies to all people, all homeowners. It doesn't always have to be, here's the 3 tips to getting your home ready for the market. Actually, that stuff seems to be kind of the least engaging right now in today's like quick, maybe over on YouTube if someone's Googling like how to get my house ready. But as far as social and vertical content, it's like people are just looking for just like fun, engaging stuff. So, let's talk about you have a personal account. I have a personal account. What does your content map look like for Cameron Gray? Just to give the listeners some context, and I'll share a little bit of what I think is a bit of mine.
So before I get into that, I just want to quickly explain to people, like most people, when they're doing their research online, they're looking up how do I build a brand? And I think as a real estate agent, what most people don't realize is you're not building a brand, you're building a personal brand. And a personal brand is totally different. There's Apple and there's Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs and Apple aren't the same thing. And the way that Steve Jobs talks was different than the way that Apple talked. But Apple needed Steve Jobs to really build because of his personality type. So think of your personal brand as you, how people are going to see you and how you're going to be presented online, the way that people are going to meet you, the way that you're going to feel around them. That's what you want your personal brand to be about. So if you're faking it and you show up right away, like they're not going to see that true human. So to get to your question there with what is Cameron Gray's content roadmap, is always evolving. So I like to kind of change it up. Right now, I'm really, really going hard in the Cameron Gray brand. We double down on it we're going to double down on it this year. My focus is on educating people and creators just on how to create better content, how to utilize the gear you have now, and how to utilize your access to the internet to grow your audience. Because a lot of people don't realize the things that they have right now is more than enough to start. I started with the webcam at 13 years old, and here I am today. So you have to start somewhere. And yeah, that's what I'm trying to focus on with my roadmap. Just what I enjoy
And the thing I see for you is that like that's what you're genuinely interested in, knowing you off camera. This isn't an act. It's not just your job. It's like this is what you're thinking about and doing 24/7. And I think that's where it shines through. For me, I've been making content since like 2008, and there's been a lot of it that has had a purpose, but then a lot of the time I'm just having fun and trying to share my life. And, as I've continued to evolve, you see a lot more topic on like mindset, on, things that aren't necessarily what I think is going to go viral, but it's just what I'm interested in. And I think having a nice mix of it, like, 3 to 5 different topics. Some people, we might argue on this. I don't know. I don't think we've talked about this offline, but there's this idea of being hyper niche, like just talk about one thing 24/7, make it so specific. But back to the personality brand, humans aren't like that, I believe, right? Like I'm only talking about 4 or 5 things, but you know me, I'm interested in like 50 things. And so that's too much. I can't be talking about all that all the time, but you can share a little bit of it. Like when I was training to get my pilot's license, I can put a picture up of me in an airplane when I'm on vacation or I'm out kayaking or something. I can share a little clip of that and pepper that in. But that's not really my content map. The content map has to do with the 4 or 5 topics I'm super interested in. I want to create content on, and I hope that attracts like-minded people to my business.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. Like I watched a lot of your content, and maybe I don't watch as much as the content we're shooting in studio because I'm the one shooting it, but the content that I like the best is like when you're at the cottage and we see those little updates. It's like nobody's really doing this, and like I get jealous. So it's just like that's the content that I'm looking for because I wish I was at a cottage right now. So like it's weird what will resonate with some people and what resonates with the other. I find like educational content is going to get people to understand who you are, to give you a chance, and then your personal life is what really sells you as a person. And then people are like, wow, I can really resonate with this person because they do so many things that are so similar to me. And to go to your point there, I totally agree with you. You should be able to do whatever you really want with your social profile. You shouldn't be as hyper targeted, but I think as you grow, that's when you have to start getting a little bit more hyper targeted. As you grow a bigger audience, people are there for one reason. So at the start, you want to start with something very hyper targeted, and then 6, 12, 18 months down the line, you kind of refine what you're doing, you kick out what doesn't work, and you kind of only keep what works as the audience gets larger. I found that with the Grand Theft Auto niche on YouTube, I had 80,000 subscribers. I was getting like 100,000 to 50,000 to 100,000 views every single solo unlimited money glitch that I was posting. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to post a vlog. Those videos got like 800 views.
Right.
Because nobody had an interest in me. It was all about that super hyper targeted search. So you have to really mix it from the start or else you'll lose that personal connection. And honestly, a lot of people don't really care about like upgrading their home now. It's only when they're in the market. So you have to also realize the difference between an algorithm and a search engine. When you're creating searchable content, it can be a lot more boring. But when you're creating algorithm-based content, you're looking for content that's going to go viral. So I watched this one thing yesterday, and the guy basically said he's actually the guy who produces all of Alex Hermosi's captions. 80% of the content he creates is not about what he sells. Only 20% of the content that he's creating is his service, the offering. The other 80% is interests and hobbies that other like-minded people have. So he did a video about a bar and a bartender and about how much money a bartender makes because a lot of people go to the bars on the weekend. He made a video about affiliate marketing because that's a hobby that a lot of people have. And then he did one about Uber Eats because a lot of people, almost everybody, orders from Uber Eats at some point. And then maybe once or twice or 3 times a month, he's posting how to do this, how to do that, how to do this, how to do that. It only gets a couple thousand views, but all the other traffic is what's boosting those videos.
That makes so much sense, and I think you actually have to get out there and do it to feel the effect. Like I was making these fry review videos with my son during the pandemic, just as something fun to do, and that's like I get more comments still. I haven't made one in like a year and a half. People are like, bring back the fry reviews, and I was just talking to someone yesterday, a brand new coaching client, about the real estate business, and not even about video marketing, but just more in general about attracting your ideal client, right? And I think this is part of it. If you can actually, show off who you really are on camera through your content, you'd be so surprised at the inbound opportunities that come. You realize that people have already picked you because they see who you are, they like you, they want to work with you. You get to be yourself in business and show up like that. But if you're making content as a strategy, which is still, we want a strategy, but if you're like, I'm going to talk about these 3 things because they're going to convert, like you were saying earlier, you're going to have to show up and still pretend to be that person, or else it's going to be a little bit of a culture shock for that client who's been watching all your stuff, and then you show up as a totally different person, not interested in those things.
And if it looks very scripted, people see right through that. They know when it's you, or they know when it's like an acted version of you because they've heard these things before. You need to stage your house. You need to have 3 of everything on the counter. You have to karate chop your pillows. Like everybody's heard that before. Be yourself. What do you do different at that showing, or at that when you sell a house? Because that's what people want to know.
Sure.
How do you, like one of the realtors that I'm working with right now, she spends 5 to 10 times more than everybody else. So that's what we're kind of focusing her content on. Like her thing is she's so passionate about real estate that she just wants to be the biggest realtor. She's not trying to make all of the money. So all of that added value, I didn't know that. Nobody knew that. I would be marketing that a ton because there's so many extra things that she's doing for her listings.
Well, we could probably keep going in 100 directions on this. I think if we were going to summarize up, if someone was walking away right now and had their notepad open and was going to start writing their content map, I think I see people get stuck is, okay, I can come up with 4 or 5 topics. Now what? Right. So maybe the question of like, what's the sub bullet point under the headline? Like, what do we start thinking about? Okay, so I am into the outdoors. I am into fine dining. I am into renovations. How do I make content about that at a kind of high level? We know we got another like 9 videos coming in this series, but I think that's going to be my wrap up. Is like, if I liked this, I get it. Okay, guys, I get it. But now how do I fill the page with ideas under these 4 or 5 topics? Like, where do we go from there?
So there's no reason why you should reinvent the wheel. Like I get it. We all want to be starting from zero, but there are already people who have been there and done that. So what I do is like I start looking up this niche on YouTube, on Instagram, and I try to find the 5 biggest competitors within those niches. And then I'm scrolling through their content and I'm writing down the titles of videos that get the most views, because that's obviously what the algorithm's liking. There's enough of an audience that has an interest in that. Why create a video, get a couple of views, and let myself down when I could hopefully boost that? So that's something that I do. I write down all of those ideas, and we have ChatGPT in front of us now. So take those ideas, run it through there. And one last tip is if you go on Google and you search a topic that you were going to create, you scroll down, it's going to say, people also search for this. These are questions that people are asking Google. And if you play with them a little bit, it's going to open up a massive list. You can build a list of like 30 content ideas just by Googling one thing. So that's what I would do. And then basically you want to test every month and put all of your information, put all of that data into some sort of spreadsheet so you can review and just refine, see what did the best, see what you enjoy doing the most, because that's what's going to allow you to do this the longest, and just double down on that, double down on that, double down on that. And then what you're going to realize is you got down to that one hyper niche, but now you're getting a ton of views and a ton of engagement from it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm living, breathing that process right now of just like not having huge expectations at the beginning, just seeing what comes, you know, a few 5 or 6 little ideas to stay on topic. And then every month, you know, after you've posted this whole month of content, you're coming back going, oh, interesting. Well, like, why do people like that? Or people seem to be resonating or more with this, or I like making these type of topics more. And you just keep reiterating. I think people get caught up in having a big master plan from day one versus just like getting in the mix, playing around. And I love that thought that you started with of, you know, all these platforms, you know, even the social ones you're watching have the save feature. So when you see something that somebody else has created, it's fair game to hit save and go like, how could I twist this and make my version of it? It's actually, you know, part of the platforms now with short form video to remix things and take the audio track or look at someone's style or the way that they cut things. And you can take that to your editing team and go, hey, I want to make mine look like this. So yeah, take a lot of inspiration from what you see and what you like, and also mix that, like Cameron's saying, with what you see is already winning, because we want to copy and replicate good content, not just the stuff that you find interesting. So great episode, Cameron. I'm going to wrap it up because we got to keep these tight. And I know we're coming right back with next episode. So that's a wrap for this Agent Pro podcast. Hope you found this super valuable. I did. I even learned something today. So thanks for sharing, Cameron. We want to take your social media presence to the next level, which is going to take your business to the next level. So what you want to do is take some action on these steps. You want to listen to this whole 15-part series, 1 through 15, and get going on something, right? If you have any questions or comments about this episode or how to do this stuff, Cameron and I are real people. You just have to reach out to us and ask for some help. Search up Jeff Thibodeau or Cameron Gray online, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you're searching. And don't forget to tune in for next episode where we will be diving into, what are we talking about next? I didn't have it queued up. I have to scroll. This is cool. So next episode, we're going to be talking about non-video content. The rest of the series, one episode on non-video, and then the rest of the series is on getting into video. So we're going to powwow for 15 minutes about what else other than just making videos, which is your niche, which is what I'm interested in, which is what I'm doing right now. But so cue that brain up. We're going to be talking about making posts, stories, other things that actually help the whole mix. So until next time, I'm Jeff Thibodeau, co-host Cameron Gray. We'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for watching.
Peace out.